Stock Go Tuesday. Stock Go Tuesday. Stock Go Tuesday.
Yeah, I believe it was in December.
And you know, been 100% genuine, balanced information for another, and just a stand-up dude, just family. That's the day. So, it's always dope when you meet someone that you don't know anything about, and then y'all have the same common interests, and then y'all build, and just go from there. You know what I'm saying? Support, one another. Which is so, he's also, as far as has a club as well, the Black Wealth Forum. If you guys have not been there, you would definitely, it's not on the treat. All right. So again, without further ado, we do have a special guest. Goes by the name of Glenn, diverse into an old sports investor and trader as well too. And we brought him for today to talk about the inside of Crypto 101, because I know crypto is a topic that a lot of people bring to our attention, and they want to hear about crypto. But he's also going to be talking about early investment discovery. He's had success on both. And without further ado, get it for our brother Glenn. Where the sirens at?
Hey, bro, I'm juggling over here, bro. Don't do me like that.
What's up, my brother Glenn? How you doing, man?
Yo, what's good, man? What's good? Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, sir. But yeah, man, I'm good, man. It's good to be. Listen.
I like your profile. What you got there? Hold on. Hold on. Y'all check it out.
That's a Tesla.
Got the Stock University. Got the Tesla. Got the Bitcoin. Yo, that's fire. I like that. All right, cool. Good, man. How you feeling today, man? Good?
Man, I'm feeling good, brother. I got that margarita in one hand, man. Well, don't tell everybody, but yeah, I got a margarita, brother. That means I'm only partially responsible for what I say.
He's making it known early. Yeah, we here for a good time, man. So, I like to always make sure I kind of get people's story. And again, it's really dope people to hear one another's stories, where they can kind of see how someone's journey was, and it kind of motivates them to go ahead and create their own story. So let's just get with the background, on you. How did you get into investing into how did that come about?
Yeah, man. So my career really started off in technology, man. I was a programmer. I came out of school, got a BS in computer science, man, and then I went got an MBA, and I was a coder. I coded in all kinds of languages, and that led me to trading, right? So along my career journey, so I started at a couple of companies before E-Trade, but when I landed at E-Trade, I wasn't trading. So when I tell people I work for E-Trade, they're like, "Oh, so you a trader?" Nah. But I was doing it. I was coding. I was coding on the back end. I was coding algorithms. I was working for a couple of different departments within E-Trade. But it gave me the opportunity to sit on the floor with the active traders, right? So I used to watch these guys. So there's an active trading division for every broker, right? So E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, all, and they have an active trader division, meaning people who are high volume traders. They call this active trading desk, and they get tips, right? They want to do an option, a split, you want to do a butterfly, you want to do all of these kinds of different derivatives. They call it active trader desk, and that's how they're able to sometimes execute successful trades if you don't really know all the ins and outs of doing some like options trading or even long-term trading. So I used to watch these guys, and I used to, I would be fascinated because I'm thinking, okay, so if you're really going to build wealth, work 40-hour a week job, and you make 40 years, you're not going to build wealth that way, right? So I'm watching these guys, and I'm watching especially the people that are calling in and seeing how they're accumulating, so much money with these different derivatives that they were using. So I got real interested in that first. And so I started asking questions. I'm sitting there and I started reading a couple of books. I'll talk about a random walk down Wall Street, one of my favorite books. And I started reading that, and I got totally fascinated. Now, this is like 2013, like 2013, 2012. Because, I have my 401k, my long-term investments, but you know how you put it in an ETF and you just let it grow. You don't even think about it. Pay attention to that. But once I kind of going to learn, and I sort of put my head down and started learning, as much as I could. And the conversation we're going to have tonight is not all success, man. I've taken many, many, many losses and still do today. But just like we always say, like the real goal is, to win more than you lose and try to protect what you have, right? So as long as you know that you're losing your margin, right? If you lose in profit, it feels a little different than when you capital, right? So I always try to protect my capital. We'll talk about all kinds of strategies for that. So that's really where I got connected. It wasn't like, and I did have a mentor, but my mentor was into, and I'll talk about that, he's into cryptocurrency. So he got into cryptocurrency in 2008, right after the market crash. He dived into cryptocurrency, and that came a little bit later, but initially I was in just the stock market. I learned exactly how to trade, mostly just long-term trading initially. I never touched an option. I didn't touch an option for like 2 years before I said, yeah, I think I understand it enough. I did a lot of paper trading. We can talk about that. But yeah, that's how I got started, man. So it was technology led me to E-Trade. E-Trade, I started working with the active traders. The active traders showed me a new way to make money that was probably the best possible way beyond maybe real estate, and that's arguable. There is to make money. So I'll pause there. That's the start.
Wow, that was interesting. I had no idea. Wow, that's definitely. I was not expecting that, man. Again, that's exactly what the conversation is for us to, get to know you and your journey. JQ, you had any questions before I go to the next one?
So, my question, right? So I know you mentioned the fact that, started off on the floor, you got to see a lot of things happen, right? And I ask this question to everybody, okay? So, getting to see other people's journeys, getting to see other people's adventures or process, what was it that kept you driven during those times of turmoil after experiencing those crashes and those things?
Man, that's a real good question, man. I think the first thing I noticed, right, and again, this is the reading and a lot of education, and then just kind of sitting down saying, I'm trying to understand how to build wealth. I'm not trying to understand how to make money, right? It's a difference, right? If you're trying to make money, then you're really watching, every cent that goes in, every cent that goes out. And you obviously want to pay attention to that. But if you want to build wealth, you got to have a long-term plan. So when I read a Random Walk Down Wall Street, one of my favorite books, man, it talked about, you had a lot of people had input into that book, like Buffett and all of them. But it really talked about, look, the market on average is going to go up 10%. So no matter what you do, you could be a total screw up. And as long as you have done your due diligence, and I'll talk about like the 5-6 things that I look for in any stock, but as long as you pay attention to those 5 or 6 things in any stock, no matter what happens on those down days, like the biggest crash was in 2008, but right after that, the market has really been on a total upward trend since 2008 until we got to 2020. So no matter how much it goes down, eventually, if it's a good stock, like if it's an Amazon, if it's I'm not going to even say Tesla because that's not even, they fall out of my blueprint. But if it's an Apple, if it's Amazon, those stocks are always going to come back over time. So that's what kept me going. I was like, okay, yeah, this is just a blip. This is a blip on the radar. But if I stay committed, if I stay focused, and if I know what my fundamentals are, I'm going to be okay. So it didn't matter if I had a down day. People who panic, and we're going to talk about paper hands, we're going to talk about diamond hands, but people who panic based on a couple of down days, they probably shouldn't be investing because they don't really understand what investing is all about, right? So, you got to know that first, and then you get the courage, right? And you guys know I have a high risk tolerance, right? And maybe that's because I've done enough studying to understand unless there's a total collapse in our financial system, I'm gonna be okay in the long run. So I play the long game, man, Q. So that's really answer to that.
Dope, definitely. You know, if anybody, I definitely appreciate the long game. So, I'm always a long-term investor myself, so definitely great wise words. Appreciate you. Jay, Mark, you got something to go back?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, pretty much in your own words, what is crypto and why should people be excited about it?
Man, finally, brother, that's exactly where I wanted to go.
That was a good question. What you doing? That was a good one, Jay.
And you know, I had to think about it, man, because I've actually I've been exposed. So crypto started right in 2009, like really started. It started in 2008, but it really started in 2009, right? Everybody knows the pizza story and 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 slices of pizza, and whoever the hell that pizza owner is, that person is a multi-millionaire for sure. But anyway, so
If they help.
if they held, right? If they didn't have paper hands, right? But fast forward 5 years, right? 2015, and guys, I'm telling you, mentors are everything, right? So if you don't have a mentor, that is probably where there's a deficiency, right? And I'm not saying everybody has to have a mentor. It depends on what you want to do in life, but you need someone that has had experience, that have walked the road that you're trying to walk on, to just say, Glenn, you know, that makes sense, and Glenn, that may not make sense, or did you think about that? Those kinds of things are real critical. So I had a mentor who was not necessarily into Bitcoin. He was into the blockchain. Now, the blockchain started in 1991, way before Bitcoin even came up. So the blockchain is just this idea of, can we build a platform where there's a trustless ability to transact, right? So you don't have to trust me. You don't have to go through a third party. Like if you swipe your MasterCard or your Visa, right, you're going through a third party to get that money to wherever it's supposed to be. So somebody intercepts and does that, and they do that transaction for you on the back end. The blockchain just allows you, with your own address, your own quote-unquote wallet, to send it anywhere else that has a receiving wallet. So it's a peer-to-peer network, and that's what Bitcoin represented. It just so happens that that's what blockchain represented. It just so happens that Bitcoin became the perfect vehicle to leverage the blockchain. There was a lot of other things that came before Bitcoin on the blockchain, but it didn't work. But Bitcoin worked because he had the right tenets. He had scarcity, right? We talk about that all the time. He had decentralization, meaning everybody can own a node, and that means if you own a node, you have the ability to vote yes or no, does that transaction work or not? So they built that in that Bitcoin, in the Bitcoin protocol. Right, and by the way, it's written in C++, one of the languages I know, right? I actually know C++ code. So cryptocurrency of Bitcoin blockchain is written in C++. So I knew that. Anyway, my mentor was like, he's talked about the blockchain. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Because I heard about Bitcoin, but I didn't pay any attention to it. It was probably like $100 a coin at that time, or less, and I didn't pay any attention to it. And it was just so volatile. Even back then, when it was trading under $100. Some days it would be like 60 cents. Some days it would be, $150, and then it would go back down to 60 cents. So it was still very volatile all through 2010, 2011. I think it actually hit $1,000 for the first time, like somewhere in that. I could give you guys the whole history because I had it written down somewhere, but it was still volatile way back then. But when he mentioned blockchain, I said to myself, all right, let me just research, right? So the first thing I did was read the white paper, and I'm going to tell you now, and a lot of people will argue with me, don't read the white paper first, because number one, most of you you'll fall asleep. It's seriously boring if you haven't read. And those that like to read and love read technical stuff, because it's more technical, I would say read it if you like reading that kind of stuff. Otherwise, don't, because it'll turn you off and you may not understand it. The next book I read was the Bitcoin Standard. And I know you guys have heard me say that book 100 times. That book is absolutely amazing, and that book changed my life, right? Because after my mentor mentioned blockchain, he didn't really mention Bitcoin because Ethereum wasn't out yet. Ethereum came out in 2015, I think. So Ethereum wasn't even out yet. This was like 2014 going into 2015. I read the Bitcoin Standard, and I started telling him about buying Bitcoin. He told me about blockchain and didn't have an application. I read the Bitcoin Standard and started telling him about Bitcoin in 2015. And it was like $150, literally, at that time. Now, I'm not going to, trust me guys, this is not financial advice, and I'm not trying to tell you I went and bought up a whole bunch of Bitcoin and now I'm sitting. I didn't do that. I did some bad steps along the way, and we'll talk about that too. that's where I said this is the real deal, because it was the Bitcoin standard, and it was the fact that the gold standard that the U.S. was supposed to be on was eliminated, right? So I read about that. I read the Bitcoin standard, and I read about that in the Bitcoin standard. And so once I put two and two together, I'm like, this is probably the future, right? Just like if you had thought about, something like, autonomous vehicles, right? Nobody would have thought that someone would actually be able to get in the car and the car could drive itself, even though it's not fully ready. It's like thinking that far ahead into the future. So, that's the way I was looking at Bitcoin at that point. So it changed my life, reading the Bitcoin standard, understanding we left the gold standard. So that means our money supply was just going out of control, right? Our debt was rising. So I wanted to be, for me and my family, I wanted to have a safe vehicle that we could look to that really understood how money works, and that's what Bitcoin represented. So, I know I went off a little bit, Jay, but that's what I needed to get to.
Oh no, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah, you good. You definitely good there. Go ahead, Jay. I have something to add on that.
No. If y'all got a question, go ahead.
I got to add on to that. I was trying to wait till we got to that, but Jay brought it, so let's get it right. So you mentioned the gold standard. You mentioned the Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is often related to or correlated with gold, right? Now, as we know, gold not only does it necessarily have somewhat of a currency value, but it also has a resource value, right? Can you talk to the people on your perception of the values behind crypto outside of it being looked at as a potential currency?
Yeah. I mean, so currency, I would never really consider crypto as it is today, right? Because it's the transaction protocol takes too long, and it takes a lot of energy, right? So we talk about pros and cons of Bitcoin. Energy consumption is one of the biggest cons. The government is probably neck and neck, but energy consumption is huge, right? So to commit one block of Bitcoin takes a tremendous amount of energy. So when you have miners all over the world, you have Bitcoin miners all over the world trying to mine for this currency, it literally sometimes surges to the energy level of an entire country, small country. So it's a lot. So I don't consider it a currency kind of thing yet. Lightning Network probably changed that at some point. We'll talk about that later, but it's another layer that they're putting over Bitcoin to make the transactions faster. And then there's also this proof of stake concept versus proof of work. And I don't want to get too technical, but just suffice it to say, it's not a good currency. What it is, though, Q, is a store of value, right? So when you think about that, it's just like thinking about your house, right? You don't run around trying to transact against your house, right? Because your house is what you believe is a store of value. It's going to keep growing. It should be appreciating in theory. So you hang on to it, and then you leverage your house, for example, to take a home equity loan, something like that. If you and it increases your net worth, right? So when you look at your net worth, your home is probably the biggest part of your net worth. So what Bitcoin represents is a store of value, very similar to a home, versus gold, right, which is another store of value, because you really can't transact against gold, although you can chop gold up and some people wear it around, as chains and stuff, but it's really not a communable type of thing where you can transact. You can't give me like 5 shillings of gold for something. So they're very similar in that aspect, but it's just that Bitcoin, its true value is the fact that it's a trustless, it's a scarcity and the decentralization, and it's a store of value. So it's purely based on supply and demand. How much someone is willing to pay you for a Satoshi, for a Bitcoin, right? Those are the two, denominations of Bitcoin. How much someone is willing to pay. So it's pure supply and demand, just like gold. Really the same thing, because gold, right now there's a $1,600, $1,700, whatever gold is, but it's really how much people are willing to pay for gold. So, I don't look at it as currency. I definitely look at it as a store of value, and it's what someone's willing to pay for that ability to have scarcity and have no one control it. No middleman, no government, no central bank can control it. It's on a blockchain network, and it's peer-to-peer. And so how much you're willing to pay for it and how much I'm willing to sell it for is the only, thing that you have to account for.
I had a question, right? Because, again, crypto, not my lane. have a conversation with someone who speaks about it. You know what I'm saying? Because even now, there's some things that that you just mentioned that is a little, technical for me to understand. To truly grasp it, I do understand bits of it. So how long did it take for you to get where you are on understanding the entire process? Because to me, I look at crypto as a lot more detailed than stocks, and that can not be what it is with the fact that I'm just not versed in it. So how long would you say it took for you to truly understand the process where you trust yourself, whether it's in an investment or a trade?
Man, that's a really, really good question, man. I'm gonna honestly say it's a never-ending process. Number one, because you gotta stay up. I mean, I'm gonna say there's between 4,000 and 9,000 legitimate coins out there today, right? And people can rattle them off like crazy. Every day somebody's DMing me about a new coin. And I'll be honest, I do not keep up with all the coins, right? I told Jay Wise today, I said, look, I'm in Bitcoin, Ethereum, I'm in Cardano, Doge, and I don't know why I'm in Doge. I'm in XRP, and I'm in Polkadot. Sorry, bro.
Yo, I told you how to do it. Go ahead, Glenn.
But it's a never-ending learning thing. But I will say that it took me about 2 years to really understand that this process and this system could work if we get mass adoption, right? The one thing, like in 2017, Bitcoin was around $3,000, something like that. It was under 3,000 for sure, right? And we all know by the end of 2017, Bitcoin went up to almost $20,000, right? So at that point, I already knew there was something great about it. What I didn't quite understand was why people couldn't understand what I understood, right? And it wasn't that I thought I was pompous or better. I just know I did a lot of research based on what my mentor taught me about the blockchain, but then what I read and researched myself about Bitcoin. So it took a couple of years to understand why this was such a good alternative to fiat, right? When we say fiat, we're just talking about dollar bills or yen or wherever you live in the world. Why this is a better alternative, right? The government can just keep printing fiat. And that means whatever, if you have $5 now, next year that $5 will be worth, $3.75, right? Because the value of currency continues to go down. That means the prices of everything continues to go up. The same house you would have bought last year for $250,000, now you're paying $300,000 for it. And it's not because the house is worth more. It's because inflation and the value of things are rising, but your wages and your dollar isn't, right? So it's taking you more money to do the same thing you would have done a year ago. So when I looked at how that's working and how that's impacting us, and how Bitcoin is the answer to that, right? Because Bitcoin doesn't allow you to print more Satoshis. It doesn't allow you to print more Bitcoin. There's only 21 million ever that can ever be coined, and that means it's finite. That means whatever it is, it is. Government can't dilute it and make it less than what it is. Whatever someone's willing to pay for it, supply and demand, is what it will always be. It took me about 2 years to understand that it's a better form of not currency, it's a better form of money, meaning store of value, right? Because if a billionaire right now said, I'm willing to pay $500,000 for one Bitcoin, that's the value, literally. Like there's nothing in between that can stop it. There's nothing that can, ultimately people still have to mine coins, etc. So there's some normalization that happens, but it truly is a peer-to-peer, pay Peter, Paul pays Peter, and that's it. And so it took me a couple of years to really understand, because remember, we've been programmed to think that we have to have this paper dollar, right? We actually think that dollar is worth something, and it technically is, right? You can go to the store.
It is.
Technically. Right, but we've been programmed to think that that's how money should work, but the problem is it only works well if we had stayed on the gold standard, right? So I know you guys know about that. If we had stayed on the gold standard, then yeah, money works, right? Because you can back it up with something that's real, something that's tangible. But the minute you leave that, then you have nothing to back it up with. So it takes a while to process that, right? You have to really think about what the heck that's saying and really what it means for future generations, right? Because our generations and those that are in generations younger than me or whatever, like we may be okay as long as the government keeps kicking the can on debt and stuff down the road. They kick it down another generation or two. But if our grandchildren, our great grandchildren, somehow they're gonna have to deal with this too, right? So if you also concerned about that stuff, then you really start to think about this a different way, and that's what I did back in 2015, 2016.
Okay. Now, so now that you said it, obviously you're a forever student of the game. You know, there's always a new coin being developed. You said it's up to 9 to 4,000. Now, since Bitcoin and crypto, because again, I'm going to speak about both of them. Since there's so much, I would say, interest and talk about and hype around it at this time, due to all of that, how, since you've been trading and investing in crypto and Bitcoin for years and years ago, how are the new investors contributing to the entire crypto and Bitcoin? Is it benefiting that you're having we're seeing new people invest into it, regardless if they understand what they're doing or not? Does it come with pros and does it come with cons? And if so, what would be those pros and cons with new investors investing into Bitcoin and crypto, but which are whatever coins, but not knowing what they're doing? Because I will be the first one to tell you this, right? Even though I invest into crypto, I am not versed at all. I am not versed in the crypto conversation, the lingo. I am not versed in there. Now I have an advantage because I've been trading stocks. Technical analysis. So I have an edge over people, obviously. But I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts just on that.
Yeah, it definitely hurts more than it helps, right? So and I'll tell you why, right? So what happens in Bitcoin and what makes Bitcoin really volatile, in my opinion, right? There's different opinions out there, but what makes it volatile, obviously, is when people are buying it, it goes up. When people are selling it, it goes down, right? So the problem is if you have a bunch of new people investing in Bitcoin and they don't understand it, they have what we call paper hands, meaning they buy it at a high price. Like a lot of people bought Bitcoin at $55,000, $60,000 because what we call fear of missing out. So they FOMO'd into Bitcoin at $55,000. Some FOMO'd into $60,000. Some FOMO'd in at all-time high of $64,000. I know a guy told me, man, I just invested in Bitcoin, and he was just going crazy. And when you invest in it at that time, I think it's good, but it's only good if you understand why you invested. So if you don't, you're expecting it to keep going up exponentially, right? You expect it to do what it's done in 2021, which it went up almost 100%, even though it's gone down. It still went up a lot just in 2021 to a high of almost 64K, right? But what happens is when they see it going down, all they could think about was, I invested when it was 64. Now, first of all, if you invested to buy one whole Bitcoin, God bless you, you got a lot of money. But number two, most people are just buying, partial Bitcoins. They're buying what we call Satoshis, right? So if they bought that at 64 and it started going down, paper hand people, right, or people who just don't really understand what Bitcoin is all about, they're going to sell it, right? Because they have a trader mentality which says, buy low, sell high, right? So they now feel like I bought high and I need to sell, right, because I'm losing money. So that's what generally makes Bitcoin go volatile, in addition to all these other coins where people are starting to put money more into Ethereum. They're putting more money into Polkadot and all the other, Doge is taking some market share. So it's splitting up the cryptocurrency market share, and you have people who are what we call FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, that they're selling their coins. And so that's what makes Bitcoin very volatile. But picture this. I'm just going to paint a picture. If we started getting more adoption, right? So right now we might be at 2, 3, 4% adoption. Some people say less, some people say more. I mean, that's how many people actually own Bitcoin. I'm not talking about the other cryptos. That means there's 95% of people that don't own any cryptocurrency, including Bitcoin. Just imagine if we got 10% adoption out of retail. We've already got some major institutional, companies that have come on board. And just imagine people held and didn't sell when they saw the first sign of trouble. Like the way you would do if you owned Amazon and Amazon went down, if you own Amazon, not an option, if you own Amazon long stocks, you're not gonna sell if Amazon goes down. That'd be silly, right? So imagine if they held on to Bitcoin that way, right, and really saw it as a store of value. Bitcoin would go up exponentially, right? Based on what it's done from now since 2008, by the end of this year, the prediction would have been $100,000 per coin. But every time there's China had the news, and then we had Elon Musk say the things he said, people looked at FUD, and then they start selling their coins. So new investors do that. People who've done a lot of due diligence around understanding what Bitcoin is didn't sell. They're still holding on to their coins. So that's the kind of downside of having new investors who just doing it because of their fear, the fear of missing out. And so we gotta address that. That's why I do so many rooms and talk about this to help people understand the type of investment Bitcoin could be if you really, really just understand what it's all about.
Now, let me ask you this before I let Jay and Q's ask the question. So, when comparing, obviously, regular stocks to crypto and Bitcoin, I know there's no comparison, right? But I'm just speaking just as far as in general. With the fact that crypto, Bitcoin, is 24/7, can that be addictive? The fact that I could take a shot of cognac, wake up and be like, hey, I feel like trading it. I'm asking a serious question because I think that if I have access to where I can, obviously, I have the access to go ahead and do it, but a crypto is not something that I'd be scalping. And again, I invest and I hold and I sell. That's what I do. I don't scalp it. At this time, probably do a day trade or a swing, but definitely not scalping. But my question to you is, have yourself or have you known people to develop an issue or of addiction? Because it can be easily addiction if something that's 24/7.
Yeah, remember, man, it's a lifestyle, right? This is your livelihood. So what you're talking about is absolutely right. It's 24/7, and I'll be honest, and maybe I should go to Bitcoin Anonymous or whatever if that exists or not. But one of the first things I do when I wake up is I grab my phone and I'm looking at Coinbase, or I'm looking at CoinMarketCap, or I'm looking, and the reason why is because it becomes a part of you, right? It becomes, and I'm not trading, right? There's people that are on Coinbase Pro that actually do some really, really, deep trading, just the way you would trade stocks. They really analyze, they do the technicals, they look at the fundamentals, they look at the moving averages, and they trade Bitcoin and other cryptos as well. I don't even do that, right? Because I just feel like it's a store of value, but I'm still watching the movements because it's so volatile. Now, if it ever became more stable, where, even though Amazon is like a very volatile stock at times, it can go up $60 and come down $40 the next day. You generally know Amazon's going to trade somewhere around this moving average somewhere. Bitcoin, no. I'm telling you, man, Bitcoin could kill its moving average like it doesn't even matter. So that's why I check it a lot, not because I'll ever sell it, but it puts a smile on your face if you see it going in a very bull trajectory. But then, it can make you feel kind of like, okay, what's happening now if you see it going in a downward trajectory? So, yeah, it's addictive. 24/7. I kid you not. I'll tell you this story. In 2017, I had my coins. I had bought early in 2017, and there was a point. Not many people in this room. 2017, a few people, but there was a point where I would look at my phone at least 10 minutes, because this is when it was doing that first climb from like 5,000 all the way up to 20,000. And I kid you not, it was going up by like $500 a minute. And I'm like, oh my God, you're making me rich, like right now. Like, you're making me rich. Now, what happened, my own confession is I had paper hands, because once it hit that sort of right below 20, and I saw it starting to come down, I was like, wait a minute, I'm taking profits, right? Because remember, most of us that are smart investors, we take profits, right? So I'm like, oh man, I bet. Now, this is in spite of all that I knew I still made the mistake, and I'll call it a mistake now, because if I had held those same coins to this today, but anyway, I had paper hands. I had take a profit mentality, and so I got out, right? And that's one of my confessions that I wanted to make sure people understand, that if you understand something, trust your instinct, trust your gut. Don't just go with the flow. Don't do it like Warren Buffett said it best. Whatever the world is doing, do the opposite when it comes to investing. And the whole world was selling at 6 when it started coming down from 19. They started selling at 18, 17, 16, 15. Had they held on, 2021 would have been the most profitable year I've ever had as any kind of investment. But that's water under the bridge. But it's a learning process. So.
I want to salute and I want to point out something you said, right? That gut, knowing, understanding, trusting that gut, doing your due diligence, understanding how these things work. That is so vital and often overlooked by a lot of new investors or people looking to get into these markets, right? And what a lot of people also tend to not realize is this is actually one of the only things that I could think of where more times than less you have seller's remorse. You can have buyer's remorse for a lot of different things, right? When you get rid of certain things, you might have a momentary, darn it, I should have kept it, or man, I lost that, or whatever the case may be. Unless it has some real, true, sentimental value. But when it comes to this investing, man, you sell something, you look back later on and you be like, damn.
Brother, you just said it, man. You just said it all, brother. But we talk about it all the time. We talk about, listen, it's about being consistent. And we actually brought that up this morning, man. Being consistent, being educated, right? And the only way to be educated is to be consistent, right? Because you can take a course. I see my sister Elena down there. You can take her course, and if you're not consistent in what you learn from that course, you just wasted your time. So you still got to be consistent. You take the fellas up here, you take their course, but you're not consistent with at least applying your knowledge, you're going to lose it. So consistency, education, they go hand in hand. And then, like I said, have a mentor, but definitely trust your instincts and your gut, once you know what you're doing. Because I'm telling you, the universe has a way to conspire to make things work for you. And I'm a big Alchemist fan, so if you guys haven't read that book, read it. The universe will conspire to make it work if you put that in the atmosphere. So don't be bold, right? Don't take unnecessary risks. Now, don't get me wrong. I have a high risk tolerance, but some people have very low risk tolerance. So get where you're comfortable, but then trust the journey, trust the path, right? And that's almost a winning recipe, success perspective.
That's dope. And we definitely want to get more into it. But as you guys know, we do got the game coming up, and we do want to do a quick refresher. So, first of all, I want to welcome everybody to Stock Street University. As you guys know, you got Jay Wise, Molly, and myself. Today, we got our special guest, Glenn, who's talking about investing in crypto 101, right? I know some of the conversation might sound a little advanced or technical, but definitely be able to break it down a little bit more. We definitely want to express our appreciation to everybody rocking with us, everybody who's been here, everybody who is here and has continued to be here, or has even came by as newbies that's enjoying the conversation. We appreciate you guys. If you guys want to enjoy more of these conversations, please take a moment to follow that little green house above Marty's head so you can be able to be notified when we do have these rooms and events. That being said, we will soon be opening the floor for some questions as well, but let's go ahead and get back into it. So, Jay, Molly, did y'all have a question before I go answer mine?
Yeah. I do have a question for you, Glenn. So what are all the different types of cryptos, or if there are blockchains, and what would you say would be the best types with the best fundamentals to kind of, get into? Or how would you do the fundamentals?
Yeah, that's a good question, man, because I was just thinking to myself, like, what are the 5 things I look for in a cryptocurrency? Because in a stock, I know it's PE ratio, I look at debt to equity, I look at dividends, whatever. You don't have that in crypto. You're in a whole new ball game. What you can look at is if you're, a really good trader and you understand technicals, you can look at moving averages. You can look at that stuff. I personally don't. What I do is I look at the white paper, right? Because and again, I'm into technology. You guys know I came out of technology, so I can read a white paper and understand it for the most part, even though there's a lot of stuff that goes way over my head. And then I look at what they call the value proposition. So I'll go research the coin.
Hey Glenn, not to cut you off. Can you talk about what the white paper is for people who don't know what the white paper is?
Oh, sure, yeah. Yep, real brief. So the white paper is simply like it's almost like if you're going to launch a new stock, right? You have to kind of come up with the thesis for the company, right? And that's what the white paper is. Essentially, a group of programmers, in this case, Satoshi Nakamura, wrote a white paper off the blockchain for Bitcoin, and all it does is it describe what the coin is for, how it'll work, what the protocols are, etc. So the main thing you want to read is what the coin is for, what value or what service is it providing. So every white paper has to have that. It has to tell you what problem is it trying to solve. Because if it's not trying to solve a problem, what's the point? It's like all the stable coins out there. There's a stable coin to the US dollar, right? And what point does that make other than you've got a dollar now that's kind of considered a digital coin, but there's no real purpose for it. What Bitcoin's purpose was, right, obviously to solve that scarcity issue and everything else we talked about. So to your question, Jay Wise, I looked at Ethereum, beautiful white paper. So Ethereum, man, that's a whole nother room, but Ethereum, the reason why it's so good is because its blockchain allows you to write smart contracts, right? And the fees are done in what they call gas. Right, so why Ethereum is so good is because it doesn't have the same tenets as Bitcoin. So if you compare Bitcoin and Ethereum, you're barking up the wrong tree. Ethereum is for other people that can write smart contracts and leverage the Ethereum blockchain to run their smart contracts. Still peer-to-peer. It could be a contract about anything, right? Any kind of you can sell a home, right? I mean, it's not quite there yet, but in theory, any peer-to-peer transaction you can write on a blockchain like Ethereum using a smart contract. So that's another one. I mean, great white paper, really good use case, and it's solving a value. It's solving a real issue in society around how to build, again, a trustless kind of backing around how to transact. I'll go to Cardano, another really, really good coin that I've read. I've read the white paper. It talks about the value of Cardano, and XRP, which a lot of people have hesitation around. It's called Ripple. I think they pretty much won their lawsuit now, so I think Ripple will be back. But again, it's solving. If you read the white paper, it's really trying to solve an actual problem. And then last but not least, Polkadot. That's another blockchain, right, like Ethereum. So that also is allowing other blockchains to talk to one another. So it's sort of like we call a transferable blockchain. So I don't want to get too technical because people will just be glazed over, but those are the 5 that I really I'm looking at. There's one more called Solana that's on my radar now, but I haven't done as much research, white paper wise, etc. But Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and I'll say Doge, but that's that's more FOMO, and then XRP and Polkadot. So those are the 5 I rock with right now.
Dope. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you a question about XRP because I know I think it was in 2018 when we seen Bitcoin crash. Between 2017 and 2018, when we saw Bitcoin crash, we seen a big spike in XRP. Is that something you think that might repeat itself with the fact that Bitcoin's taking a dump right now?
Yeah, I really do, right? Because I mean, XRP is like, to me, it's a whole different concept, right? It tries to it has its own blockchain, it has its own coin, obviously, right? So it's similar in that respect. So that's why I could kind of run side by side, if you will, with Bitcoin. The one thing I don't know with XRP is whether that community, like I feel like this, it's not as decentralized as Bitcoin. Meaning, in the Bitcoin world, anybody could get a node. Anybody can form their own node. Not Bitcoin mining, but just having a node, which means the whole blockchain is loaded to your node and you see every transaction. So that's true, and it's like a consensus, right? So that's the one thing that Bitcoin has, I think, over everything. I think XRP might be the closest to that, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think they might be the closest, and this is why people might look at them as the alternative. But in terms of market cap, in terms of total utilization, volume, etc., they don't really compare yet. Once this lawsuit is over and they get back to their full stated kind of like, I guess, value proposition, they could be formidable. And that's why I'm keeping a small investment in XRP as well. So good question. So we'll see what happens with that, man. But I still think Bitcoin is the gold standard, right? If I could use that terminology, of all cryptocurrency. So if you're buying something else and don't own Bitcoin, and here's the funny thing: people look at Bitcoin and say, "Oh man, it's $50,000 or it's $45,000 or whatever. I can't own it." No, it's the Satoshi. Like one Satoshi, one Satoshi is like $1. Satoshi is like 2,500 Satoshis, $1. So I mean, if you can become a Satoshi millionaire with literally about $400. So you have to think in terms of the unit of delineation of Bitcoin is Satoshis. So essentially you're doing the same thing. You're buying smaller pieces and they grow too. I mean, it's not growing to where Bitcoin is at 55, but it's growing on its own increment. So that's why I say it's the gold standard. And if I'm going to live in the crypto world, and again, this is not financial advice, but if I'm going to live in the crypto world, I'm going to start with the gold standard, and all these other coins that are coming out that are like 0.00000010, and everybody's like, let's buy that. Let's buy a whole bunch of that. And if it goes up to $1, I'm a millionaire. You don't realize you could do this. You could essentially do the same thing with Satoshis, right? It just looks a little different because the denomination is a little different. So just be careful. I mean, definitely go out there, be bold. Definitely read those white papers and understand what you're doing. Don't do it because your cousin said, go buy, go buy Dogecoin. My cousin said it, so I'm gonna go buy it. If you do that, you can. But I would say, try to understand what Dogecoin is trying to solve, right? And we already know the answer to that. But, just do a little due diligence at least. And no one's saying you have to understand how to write code in blockchain. That's not the point. You just need to understand what problem it's trying to solve and whether it really could be something that the world would adopt to, right? Because when you buy a coin, the whole purpose is for more and more people to buy it, and that would drive the price up, right? So if you don't even understand it, don't think the hundreds of thousands of other people out there that we need to buy it for it to go up is going to understand it as well.
Dope. I had a question, right? Now, you mentioned about, if in your opinion, again, it's not financial advice, if anyone's going to start, you know what I'm saying, is to invest obviously into the gold standard, right? So, like you said, if someone doesn't have 54,000, they can invest into purchase for a certain amount of Satoshis. Now, let's just say, and again, I'm just asking to see if anyone would ask this question. Let's say someone invests $100 worth of Satoshis, right? And let's just say Bitcoin is trading. I don't know what Bitcoin is trading now, right? Let's just, again, hypothetically, people, I don't know nobody in my inbox. It's not being like that right now. What is it, matter of fact? Anyone know what Bitcoin is trading at right now? I don't want nobody in my inbox.
38,000.
38,000. So that's 38,000. So if it goes from 38,000, right? You made $100 investment, however, how many Satoshis that is. How many Satoshis is that? $100 worth. So the math on that.
So one Bitcoin is worth 100 million Satoshis. So you just gotta break it down. But yeah.
Okay, so that would be like $1 is 1 million.
Yeah. So
$100.
That's 0.002208.
Actually, I'm looking right now. So 62,000 Satoshis.
Okay. And listen, Bitcoin goes up from 38,000 to 40,000, 2,000. A raise of increment in 2,000. How much would the value of that be?
So if you invested $100, right, then you just have to do the math of what.
Gonna pull up a crypto calculator.
Right. You just have to.
Okay.
So what's a hundred? Yeah, I'm looking at one right now. It's called web analysis, web analysis. But all you guys do is like whatever your the best way to do that, right, is to look at the percentage increase, right? So if Bitcoin goes up 20%, you put in $100, it goes up 20%, right? You made $20, so you make now $120, right? That $120 is now 314,530 satoshis, right? So you look at it just by percentages. So if it goes up 50%, you double it. So from $100 to $200 now you have, right? Now if you say now you have $200 worth of satoshis, you got over 500,000. You got 524,217 satoshis, and it just continues to increment. What I love is that a satoshi, right? So people don't realize this, right? But like one satoshi is when you start looking at those Doge numbers is 0.000038. So one satoshi equals 0.00038 cents, right? Or less than 1 cent. So when you start looking at how divisible it is, you can really accumulate a lot of satoshis. That it got, if Satoshi ever went to $1, I mean, you're talking about buku money, right? So that's the way you need to be able to look at Bitcoin / Satoshis, right, and how they work. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. Okay. At this time, before we get into the next subject of early investment, did anyone have any questions?
We did have Chad. We forgot to bring Chad up.
Oh, my boy is here. Oh man, good. He can come up and correct me because I'm drinking, man. I'm drinking my. Come on, my brother. Where Chad at, man?
Yeah, he is.
What's going on, Chad? Doing today?
All is well. I was just listening in. How you doing today?
Good.
We doing good, my brother.
We good, brother. Hope you got your drink, man. We having a good time up here, man.
I'm on a diet this month, so I can't drink. Not this month. Next month, though.
I hear you, brother.
That's what's up. Jay, did you have a question for Chad, or did you want people to ask questions and Alex chatting?
Yeah. We could field some questions from the crowd. If anyone had any questions, feel free to raise your hand. We'll bring you on up.
Okay. If anyone had any questions regarding Bitcoin or crypto, feel free to raise your hand. Other than that, I definitely got questions. So,
Wally got a ton of questions.
No, because this is how I learned. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I like to ask questions. I'm from the old school. Don't send me no email. Pick up the phone and I call.
I mean, if anybody has any questions, you guys are welcome to raise your hands. Come on up. You guys questions about crypto. You guys questions about investing as well. You guys are welcome to come on up and ask questions. In the meantime, I got a quick question real quick though, Glenn, right? This for the people, right? So if you're new to crypto, right? I know you mentioned the white paper a lot. What are some other resources that you can utilize to review or research the different coins? Other than the white paper?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. So if it's Bitcoin, I got 100 resources. And again, I start with Bitcoin Standard, but there's like at least 4 or 5 other books, and I'm actually gonna put them in my profile because I want people to really be able to grab these books if they want to. And they're easy reads. Like they're not all hard to read. Like Bitcoin Standard is a little bit hard to read, but it teaches all about the value of money. But there's a bunch of other books out there. But that's the first one I always say, because then if you start in the Bitcoin books themselves, they don't teach you why necessarily. Like the Bitcoin Standard tells you why we actually needed to figure out this form of financial mechanism. So that's what I recommend. Chad probably has some really cool books too, man. But that's what I would say right off the bat.
Yeah, I would say I read the Bitcoin Standard. I really like that. Like Digital Gold. I like Bitcoin and Black America. Some shorter PDFs. I really like The Great Monetary Inflation by Paul Tudor Jones. As far as if you need another medium to take in information, I really enjoyed First Principles of Bitcoin by Robert Breedlove. It's a 4-hour interview. And then a super free resource, and a lot of it gets into the technical part of things. But Gary Gensler, the SEC chair, taught a class at MIT on cryptocurrency, and it basically he says that his job is, you have maximalists, you have minimalists. My job is to kind of get you to the center. And I wouldn't go in watching every single one to start, but there's some that you can pick a good title of the class. There's 20 of them, where it has some good information as well as far as understanding. But those will be the resources I would point you into that direction.
Yeah, and there's one more too on YouTube. This guy runs a site called 99 Coins, and man, he breaks it down. He does these in like 3-4 minute segments. He'll teach you everything from blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, staking, proof of work, all that stuff that you hear us talk about that you probably be like talking about. He can give it to you in like a 4-minute chunk. And the guy's really good, so check out 99 Coins on YouTube. He's really good. YouTube University, man, never fails you.
What's up, my brother Curve? Did you have a question?
Yeah, hey Wally, how you doing? So Glenn, always appreciate listening to your insights on Bitcoin. So quick question, I have a long-term positions on a few stocks, and I know one of the indicators that I always look to kind of make sure that the companies that I'm invested in are headed in the right direction and still evolving and staying on track with the fundamentals that I was attracted to, would be, current news and earnings calls. When you're into, if you're invested into Bitcoin or any cryptocurrencies, what are some of the indicators that you can use to make sure that cryptocurrency that you're invested in is evolving, with the times, and is in there for the long haul? I hope that question makes sense. But I'm trying to compare, my approach to, how I would stay on track with following the companies I'm invested in into cryptocurrencies. So, are there earnings calls? Are there anything like that I would use on a quarterly basis or 6-month basis to make sure that cryptocurrency company is on track with, is on an upward trajectory? Hope that makes sense.
It does, Kirby. And that's a brilliant question, man. And I'm gonna have good news and bad news. and Chad, I'm gonna let Chad chime in after me. So the good news, well, maybe I'll start with the bad news. There are no earnings calls. There are no quarterly reports. There's nothing like that that I've ever seen in cryptocurrency. And why? Because all that middleman stuff that generally happens in those things, even though you could argue quarterly earnings calls aren't, but that's all gone. So how we talk about if you don't own your coins, you don't. If your coins are sitting on what we call a hot wallet, you don't own those coins, right? So if something were to happen, you lost them. There's no federal FDIC that's going to come and save you. So it's a whole new way of transacting money, right? And the hardest thing for people to understand is, how do I correlate it to trading? How do I correlate it to stocks and bonds? And you really can't. Like I loosely said, you can look at moving averages and stuff, and you technically can, but even that's not a pure correlation. So what I do to look at, I look at some volatility indexes, right? So I can see where if there's news, right? The one thing that does affect crypto a lot is news, right? So buy rumors, sell news. News and rumors definitely affect it. So you got to keep on top of the news. That's why I'm plugged into a lot of podcasts. I'm plugged into a lot of even rooms here, man. There's some brilliant people. Chad being one of them, some brilliant people in the cryptocurrency world. And if you guys see me, you shadow me in these hallways. Usually I'm in 75% crypto rooms, because I'm trying to hear the news and understand what's happening. And to be honest, Kirby, in my opinion, that's the best way to understand. You got to understand what's happening to the volatility, to the rumors. As long as you understand that the fundamentals, the white papers, everything is correct, then all you have is what's happening in the overall market. If China says something crazy or Elon says something crazy, it's going to impact volatility, so you got to be prepared for that. But generally speaking, you don't have the same tenets that you would have with a regular share. So,
Gotcha. Thanks, man. Yep.
I'd say I'm long term, so the day to day, I don't really stay, or not that I don't stay on top of it. It kind of comes to me. I think the easiest indicator be liquidity, right? The flow of in and out of exchanges. For example, right, stable coins, the whole point of the stable coins is to provide liquidity for a lot of these exchanges that abuse leverage, in my opinion. But if you want to count on Twitter, for example, I have actually a burner Twitter account that's just fully focused on cryptocurrency just to feed me what I need. It's whale_alert. And that's like an easy indicator that you can pick up just by looking at it over time. And you'll be able to see that, okay, if I see Bitcoin coming onto an exchange, more than likely that person is about to sell it. And this is on big players in the space. If I see cryptocurrency flowing off the exchange, I know that they're holding it long term. If I see stable coins being printed and put onto the exchange, I know someone's putting some powder to the side to buy into a specific coin. And so that's probably the easiest indicator if you're getting started. Speaking towards the big thing I focus on is my entry points into coins. I view myself as in the space of venture capitalists, and these coins are companies. So like Glenn said, the white paper is super important, but even I would say slightly before the white paper, if you just understand the venture space, right, the whole idea is that these guys see 500 to 1,000 companies a year and they might pick 5 or 10, right? But they have a whole firm to do that. I'm an individual. I don't have the bandwidth to do that. So the first thing I would say is the tokenomics, right? Some of the factors within tokenomics is the total circulating supply. Is there a burn rate, which a burn rate is just when that coin is used, does the amount of coins in circulation go down, or is there an uncapped supply? The tokenomics is just a quick way where you can just, to be honest, just say yes or no to a project, especially when someone sends you something, which happens a lot. After that, if I had to name the 5 process things, it's tokenomics, the white paper, if it's a coin or token, right? A coin, generally speaking, has its own blockchain, which more or less means it's self-sustaining. It doesn't need another coin for it to function, where a token is a cryptocurrency built on top of a blockchain. And so, there's a lot of cryptocurrencies built on Ethereum, right? If Ethereum fails, what happens to those coins, right? And so that's a third thing that I look at. The fourth is the team. This is personal preference, but I only like teams that got into the space before 2016. And that's just because the following year, 2017, there was the market became a lot of quick money grabs. And right, I just mentally in my head, I kind of bookmarked that as a time where I think more people got into the space to actually develop things. And then the fifth metric outside of the team behind it is really the noise around it, the community around it. Does it have a Discord? Are people talking about it on crypto Twitter? Google Trends is a great tool, right? That one can be a little tricky because everyone's talking about cryptocurrency right now. But that's like my last factor, is just that at the end of the day, money is a social consensus. And so if people aren't really, you could have the greatest project in the world, but if people don't know about it, like, it's not going to move. So those are kind of like my 5 quick steps. It gets a little bit deeper than that, but that would be like my checklist.
Very, very insightful. Thank you, guys.
That was dope. I hope
if y'all had y'all pen and paper handy, this has been a dope conversation. I'm definitely appreciating it, and I'm also learning at the same time as well too.
And real quick, if you don't understand what when he mentioned burning a coin, if you don't understand what that is, the easiest way to look at it is when a company buys back their shares, they're essentially pulling those shares off the market, right? When a organization burns their coin, that's basically what they're doing. They're lessening the amount of shares, right? Which in theory should drive up, right? So just so everybody understands.
Would that include the accounts that are abandoned, or for people who have lost their passcodes that fall under the burn rate?
No, that more donation to the community, as they say.
Exactly.
But typically the burn rate is in the governance of the token. It's if you use either it's in one of two ways generally. It's either if you use that token to purchase something on that whatever that token utility or problem is trying to solve, a certain percentage of that purchase will be burned, right? An example is mana. The central land, every time you buy something within it, 2.5% of it is burned. The other way I really see it is just when coins have a software upgrade, which are hard, and that's generally when the creators or the consensus that the community comes to is that at X block or at basically at this certain point with a certain date, this percentage of those coins will either be burned off, or from this date on, this will be the kind of schedule in which the coins will be burned off. So that's kind of generally what I've seen. And it is a consensus proof of burn for a lot of
Don't shake that.
You can tell we from Brooklyn. The first thing we say is dope.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Oh no, Glenn.
Yo, that's dope.
Real quick, right? I'm sorry. I forgot to give a disclaimer to the people. Right? So for those of you guys that are here to play the game today, I hope you guys are paying attention to things that have been said from the jump, because you never know what answers might be given away. But in the meantime, Glenn, I'm gonna need you to stop, bro.
Hey, look, I got a supplemental prize for the winner tonight too, and it starts with the SATs. It's gonna be special. So looking forward, and that means I can't play, but that's okay. You know.
That's
but, yep.
You're not gonna miss no testables tonight. Nah, man. But yeah, so real quickly, just, as you guys know, we are here right now. We're talking with Glenn and Chad. I know Chad was a little behind on joining us, but he is here now. So, and they're just sharing their journeys, their stories, and just their mentality and ideologies behind their crypto investing, and as well as regular investing. So if you guys do have any questions, we're about to get ready to start the game up. If you have any questions, raise your hands. We bring you up, and you guys can ask the question as we get ready to get this game going. So, questions?
Is that how we aiming for it, Q?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay, cool. All right, so we also did have another part. Obviously, crypto is a conversation. This can go on for hours, yo. And it also is a lifestyle. Just hearing Glenn and Chad both speak about white papers, and Chad talked about in the Discord, and that is a lifestyle. People understand, if you want to be invested in something, you have to work and dedication into it in order to get involved. But I wanted to
question, bro. And I'm going to use Tesla as an example because you guys know how I feel about Tesla, man. I always said, even with cryptocurrency, it's all about what problem are you trying to solve. So if it's Amazon tried to solve the problem of, they started off with books, right? But they really tried to solve the problem of supply chain across the world, right? Being able to send something across the world as fast as possible, the goods available in one place, and that's a problem being solved. If you look at Apple's trying to solve the problem. They were a little bit behind some of the other technical companies, but Apple said, I'm going to put a smart device in everybody's hand that they can transact any kind of way across the world, and like literally more than half the things we do from our smartphones. So what Tesla was trying to do was solve this problem of gas, number one, right? Because at the time gas was ebbing and flowing, high sometimes, it was low sometimes. I remember when gas prices went way down, people went out and bought Hummers and stuff like that. And then when gas prices went up, people that had Hummers was like, oh my God, what did I do? Like, it was just so stupid, right? Because people were trying to figure out, gas. But not only that, it was the carbon emission, right? So I looked at that stuff. And then being technology, you end up reading a lot of stuff that puts you in a place to like look at things forward, right? Forward thinking is the biggest thing I'll point out, is because I'm thinking, how do these problems get solved, right? So with knowing what Tesla's value proposition was, to be fully electric and, more importantly, affordable, right? So their original plan was to produce a $30,000 electric car. I was like, that's impossible. So you got to tell me no combustible engine, no carburetor, no transmission, none of that stuff. All electric. All I got to do is plug it in at night, and I can go 150 miles. You never have to touch a gas station again. You're gonna do all that for $30,000? I didn't believe, but I believed in the concept. I believed in that longer term they could make this, they could pull this off, right? Because I believed in Elon Musk. I saw what he did with PayPal. I saw what Elon Musk did with other things that were forerunners. I said the man is brilliant, IQ of 155. That stuff helps, right? So I knew the value proposition. I knew the problem he was trying to solve. And so me being, in technology too, I said, this is a company that probably will make it in the future. And that's honestly how Tesla came into my lap, and how I got into Tesla when it went literally right after the IPO. And so, and I've been in there ever since. And, people ask me, like, I remember having this long conversation with my three good brothers here. You still holding on to Tesla? Absolutely. Right? Because I learned how to play. I know how to play, right? Because I know how to play the downward trends, right? I pull up my little insurance policies. You guys know I can run some puts in there, and so I know how to play it. So I'm gonna hold on.
We try to talk him out of it, y'all. We really,
especially Q. Q was on me that day. Because Q, you're right, Q, because you like their P ratio is ridiculous. They don't pay dividends. Like all the things that you look for, which I respect.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fact, right? But if they solve that problem, and if let's say 10 years from now, half the cars are Tesla taxis, guess what? Guess what I'm gonna be looking like if that ever comes to fruition? Right. Exactly. Or autonomous taxis, by the way. Not even just.
Well, take into consideration, you ain't gonna be looking like nothing until you sell. They don't pay you.
Well, by then they'll be paying to do it. That's a good point. That's a really good point.
That was good.
That was good. But store value, right? Back to store value. But right, no, I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right, man. And remember, this is not all about me. I got a family. I got generational wealth that I want to make sure that we pass on, because we talked about it last night. We want to bridge that wealth gap. Right? The only way to do that is to keep that money and pass it on from generation to generation. So it's not about me always seeing what the next best thing I can do and buy. Sometimes it's passing it on. So that's the key, man.
Big facts.
And would there be any information, I would guess, just in general, to speak to that new investor, who's been investing for a while, and they've been going through, more bad than good, any advice or any steps?
Yeah, the last thing I'll say, and I have some of my original team in here. I see Tanisha there, and Sonia's there, Curb. So actually, before Clubhouse was even around, I started this little group chat, man. I was like, you know what? I know a lot about investing. And I'm going to, take some people who are really good people, and they're very diligent with money, and we're just going to learn together, right? So the first thing I talked about was what you guys always talk about with Elena, Jay, I see Jay down there, both Jays. You got to get your mind right. And I'm not even talking about learning how to invest. I'm talking about understanding or getting a mental maturity that helps you understand what investing is all about. That book, Start With Why, the Me Q, and we always talk about, that book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek. If you don't read anything else, it's about maybe 50 pages. Please read that book. Because everything you do just about in life, you want to start with, why am I doing it? So before I tell you to take a course, and my brothers here have a great course, Elena has a great, other people have great courses. Before I even tell you to take that course, start with why. Understand why you're investing. What does money even mean? Even know what you're going to do it. I heard a guy today say that if we just erased everybody's net worth today and gave everybody $25,000, the whole world, all 3 trillion people, all had $25,000. This brother said that the people who are rich today, he believes would be rich again, and the people who are poor today, meaning don't know how to use money, they'll be poor again. And it made so much sense to me, because I'm like, right, because if you know how to make money, then that's the first thing you're gonna try to do with your $25,000. And if you don't, you're gonna end up losing it. So by and large, and I thought that was a great point. So start with why. Get a good education. It doesn't mean get a PhD. It just means learn your trade, learn your field, learn what you're really trying to do, right? Take some of these good courses, and there's so much information out here. And then understand those value propositions, right? Understand what problem they're trying to solve with whatever they're producing, or what consumer demand is, whatever they're trying to produce, right? It's all about consumer demand. Then all the fundamentals come into play, right? All the fundamentals, all the technicals, that all comes into play, and you'll learn that in the course. But that stuff gets applied after the fact. But start with why, get smart, get educated, right, and know why you're doing it, and that'll be your passion. That'll drive you forward, I promise, with consistency. So that would be my.
Sounds dope. Chad, any advice on dabbling in crypto? Coin space, like just anything you could tell a beginner.
I would say invest in understanding Bitcoin, because that gives you to understand everything else. Dollar cost averaging, start. Even if you want to put a lump sum in dollars, set up a system of dollar cost averaging before you get into it. And I think the last thing is to understand that sometimes it is just money. I caution, because I don't think everyone's really built for the volatility that comes with it. But
that's dope.
Yeah, powerful.
That is so dope. I should call my homeboy up so he can hear that. But you this nigga, he wasn't prepared for it. That was dope.
Yeah, I would not be in cryptocurrency to this day if I was a professional blackjack player. So I was just used to money moving in different directions a lot, very fast. And so it does take, you have to kind of build up that callus, as I'll say, over time, and understanding and research and due diligence helps a lot when things aren't going in space. Yeah.
That was definitely deep. I ain't gonna lie, people. I don't know if everybody caught that though.
Yeah, I don't think they did it. I know they did. Hold on, let me. I hope everyone. If someone did it, man, like I said, sometimes it's small things that to be able to just understand what he just said. Like, wow, that's crazy. We did have one question from Sonia on up. We have.
This is a trick question. I'm sure this is a trick question. So.
Now, there we go.
Real quickly, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to go ahead and draw the disclaimer. All of the information that has been stated on stage, I agree with, and I find
mining, autonomous vehicle, how that could be interchangeable.
Yeah, brother. It's, and you know what? I'll just add one more quick thing is and renewable energy, right? So we throw those three. That's the trifecta right there. I think let's do that, Chad, for real, man. Love it.
Oh, for sure.
Sonia, Colin, you had a question?
I'm gonna move myself back to the audience because I hit the button by mistake. Hi.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I was really ready for hear what you had to say, son. You come up with something now. You're on the spot.
Have a question. You get ready. You might as well.
Yeah, might as well. Go ahead.
Okay, so what percentage of your portfolio would you say that, you know, you should, because like you said, everything is unknown. So what percentage of your portfolio would you say that is a good place to start?
So it's funny, I had that question just today actually from someone else. So remember, I'm talking about disposable income right now, right? So I'm not talking about your regular assets and your regular, you know, debts and assets, right? I'm talking about your disposable income. So the way I do it is I kind of use this 30-30-30 method. And it sounds weird, but I have 30%, and this is just investments, not where I live, you know, my home, but 30% in real estate, 30% in retail stocks, right, bonds, etc., and then 30% in crypto, right? So that's loosely. I mean, it's not exactly the way I do it, but that's loosely the way I look at it. Got to be in real estate because I'm telling you, land ain't changing, and nobody can build more land, right? So need to be in real estate, need to be in retail investing, right? And so that's you know, again, and I don't consider retail investing in crypto the same. So I have another roughly 30% there. So that's the way I do it.
I guess the responsible thing to say is like 1 to 5 or 5 to 10%. My portfolio is mostly private equity, real estate, and cryptocurrency. Private equity, I'm closer to probably 15%. Real estate, I'm closer to 15%. Cryptocurrency, again, I'm very risk on. But pretty much in Bitcoin and just cryptocurrencies in general, I have about 45 to 50%. And that's probably overexposed, right? I admit that, but a big proportion of why I do that is because I do look at Bitcoin as wealth insurance, and just from everything I see, I really don't think I have a choice if I really understand it. And so, but the practical thing is, 1 to 10% until you really, understand the space.
Big facts, yep.
That was dope, man. I'm definitely bringing this with the conversation. Trust me, I can keep going. But again, I want to appreciate Glenn, my brother. Appreciate you coming out and taking for his time out of your day, and definitely for joining us. Appreciate you just being loyal to the family, my man. I talk to you every day. The next time I'm in New Jersey, make sure we check you out.
We can meet in Brooklyn, bro. I got a spot in Brooklyn, man.
I got a bridge in Brooklyn I'm gonna sell you.
Definitely gotta check you out. But again, make sure you guys are definitely showing love to Glenn, the Black Wealth Forum, every Monday at 8:15. And we finally found out the reason why he does 8:15.
Right.
It's the algorithm.
I'm not gonna lie, Glenn, we kind of adopted it, but it's gonna be.
We stole it. Bro. So, make sure you guys show love towards Glenn, and also make sure you guys show love towards our brothers, towards Chad. Definitely diverse in the crypto world, and Bitcoin. Always just tons of information, and just every time he speaks, I always learn. So it's always dope to have people like that who you can connect and network. So make sure you guys show love towards the chat. Check out his bio, get to know him. And again, I know majority of the time he's a lot of those Bitcoin rooms. So go ahead and check him out. And I appreciate you, Chad, for your time.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate the platform.
Hey, real quick, man. I just wanted to say, fellas, man, y'all already know, man. I met y'all this year. But man, my appreciation and respect for what you brothers do every day, including Sunday mornings at 7 o'clock, man. I'm wiping the sleep out of my eyes, rolling over. And me and Jay Wise on the... Man, listen, I love it. I appreciate what you're doing. Nah, Q ain't nowhere around, man. But, nah, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all brothers are true to the culture, true to, and committed to, like, sharing and growing. And I say, look, man, we got to support our brothers, man. Like, you know, you guys know what I do in the Black Wealth Forum, but we know our brothers, you know, brothers like this are rare. So I just say, you know, let's support them. Let's continue to support them, man. And I appreciate y'all, man. And we're going to keep this going, man, until we make an impact, man. That's what this is all about.
Likewise, my brother. Likewise. Yeah, you want to add something before the game, my brother?
Yeah. Real quick, let me do a quick refresh. Again, thank you, Glenn, Chad, for joining us on the stage to talk about crypto and sharing that knowledge with the family. Thank you for everyone else who's joined us this evening to talk about that and kind of listen. Hopefully, y'all were taking notes and gathered some very, very important knowledge. So, again, we are in the Stock Street University. This club and this community that we're building here is all about providing a space for growth, knowledge, and a place to network and influence stock market awareness. So we do this. We usually have a room every morning, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. We have the stock market pregame, and every Monday at 8:15 p.m. you can check out Glenn's club, the Black Wealth Forum. So if you just click on his page, scroll to the bottom, you'll see that first club. That's the Black Wealth Forum. So make sure you give that a follow. We'll be having some very, very deep and interesting conversations that need to be had. So I love joining in the conversations, and just sometimes I just like to listen because people be sharing some very, very interesting things. So every Sunday at 7 a.m. we host the Stock Market 101, so you could check us out for that. We also have the stock market investing class. We haven't posted the date yet, but if you are interested, feel free to check us out, stockstreetuniversity.com, stockstreetuniversity.com. We also have a ton of resources on that on stockstreetuniversity.com that you can check out and download. And if you're interested in enrolling in one of the classes, check us out in the enrollment page on stockstreetuniversity.com. And also we have the watch list / newsletter. If you're the type of person who don't really have much time to really just sit in front of the computer and do your own research or trying to find, you got to do research anyway, but let's just say that you just don't really know how to curate that information. The watch list will help you out. That newsletter will help you out. It'll keep you up to date on what's moving, what's the latest stocks. Now, we don't catch everything, but we catch a good amount of things that you can kind of benefit from, all right? On the bull side or the bear side. So you'll get your daily updates on the news, daily updates on events, on SPACs, hot and unusual options, IPOs, market movers from penny stocks to blue chips. So you can check out the Delta package on the website at stockstreetuniversity.com. So we could get ready for that game. Q, you want to give them the rundown on how to get access?
So also, hold on, Jay, you also forgot we got a Discord, we got a community going on and live trading.
Yeah, facts. So along with the watch list, you do get access to the Discord, right? So the Discord, man, is a ton of channels in the Discord, right? We also come together as a community to look at certain things at the same time. So we do live trading in one of our live video channels. You don't have to be in video, it's audio as well. So we talk about things that we're seeing, we trade together, we kind of discuss certain things. We do due diligence as well together. I remember me and Sterling the other day was looking at a specific sector, and we found some great opportunities there. So you'll have the technical channels, the pennies, the earnings, dividends, crypto. It's a ton of resources on Discord, and that comes with that watch list. So.
Yeah, book club and all that. So with that being, it's a lot, y'all. It's a lot. Definitely dedicated. Appreciate that, Jay. appreciate you as well. Chad, definitely appreciate you as well. It's always a pleasure, guys. So for y'all ready to get this game going? Let me see some hands if y'all ready to see this game go.
Let's go. Let's bring up some people. Let's join us.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to the
Stock
Shout out to the
We gonna find out who Doc Richardson is. I'm gonna find out who Doc
We got
Richardson
the
is.
bear in the house.
We gonna figure out who Doc Richardson is.
I got a new
Sleepy Bear.
I'm gonna find you.
Alright, well, let's go ahead. Let's bring them up. Let's get this going. So for those guys that want to watch the game, you can pull this up on the YouTube channel, Stock Street University. We are currently live. Now, also, if you want to play the game, you can go to our website that Jay earlier mentioned, stockstreetuniversity.com.
Reigning champ is Quenisha too, y'all.
Yes.
Reigning champ is Quenisha.
Was she 3 wins in a row?
3 wins in a row.
3
Hey,
wins.
Jay, you see how they skip over us, brother? Like we don't even exist.
Chicken nuggets and honey mustard.
Taco Tuesday.
games now.
Hey, now listen, you gotta look out for anything with Doc, man. She's the doctor, bro. You gotta watch.
There you go. So what was the winner get, Glenn? Because you said it starts with S. T.
Yeah, so that's the initials, right? SAT, right? The abbreviation is SATs. Oh, no, Satoshis, right? So I'm a cash app for Satoshis.
That's dope. That's fire. Oh, man. There we go.
Tonight got some.
Wait, who was Tesla rep, though? Who's Tesla rep? I still got to know who that was.
Yeah, who was Tesla rep? Because I want to know who you are so we can never have you play again. Who are you? Who was it? Was it Elena?
Nah, Elena was Elon's son.
Who's Tesla rep? Raise your hand.
Question, how do you even say that damn whole thing?
I don't know. I googled it. I have no idea.
So, guess we'll never know who Tesla rep is.
Listen, Marley was joking, y'all.
That's right. Just stay anonymous, y'all. I love it. Just stay anonymous. It's cool.
Yeah,
just
there
stay
you go.
Not
anonymous.
gonna expose y'all. We're not gonna reject it. It was a joke, though.
That making me enjoy myself. My air has been worse. Glad y'all made me laugh today.
Got a comment here for Glenn. I waited so long to play the game and sorry I had to leave. Thank you, Glenn, for the great information you delivered tonight. Hashtag Bitcoin.
Oh, nice.
Oh, no.
I love it. Yo, I
There you go.
appreciate that, yo.
Appreciate you,
I appreciate that.
Virginia. Appreciate you.
So, Dr. Richardson, I don't see your Cash App on your profile, so you have to hit me in my DM.
Okay.
Shout out to Chad. My brother, man, I know we talked about it last night, but I didn't know whether you could make it, man. I'm so glad you did, brother, because, again, you always drop jewels, man, so I appreciate you, my brother. I know he's on the phone right now, but
Facts.
just know that.
Big facts. And we once again, y'all, for everybody that's here with us right now, whether you're in the audience, whether you're on stage, we definitely want to express our deepest appreciation to every single one of you guys rocking with us. For those of you who've been rocking with us for a while, definitely appreciate the loyalty and consistency for rocking with us. For those of you who are new to the club or new to rocking with us, well, we definitely appreciate you for giving us a shot to share some knowledge and insight with you. Hopefully you guys have learned some things while enjoying yourselves and having some fun. Do know that the typical common conversation revolving around finances can sometimes be rather boring, mundane. So we're just trying to liven it up a little bit, right? So we hope you guys have had some fun and got to learn some things. We definitely appreciate every single one of you guys. I'm about to go on.
Yeah, you want to close it out, my brother?
Yeah. So we do appreciate everyone for coming through. Make sure you check us out tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Probably gonna be 8:15. We might try the Glenn method.
I like that.
Yeah, so it might be 8:15 tomorrow morning. I think we will be in the BLK Stock Street. Again, 8:15 a.m. And we're gonna close out the rest of this week. Hopefully, we close out strong. Not sure what the market's gonna be doing tomorrow, but we'll see. And again, we got the watch list. If you're interested, please visit stockstreetuniversity.com. That's the Delta package, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what you got? Got it under? Yeah.
Yeah, the watch list by itself is the Delta package. The Gamma package is the class. I'm going to take the class. The next class date has not been announced yet, so yeah, just wait until we announce the class date. So yeah, Delta package is the watch list.
Yep. So again, appreciate y'all coming through. Anything you wanted to say, Marley?
I thought to everybody, man. Make sure you guys are showing love as well. Probably showing love to Blackwell, Western Bay, Games community. That's not anybody else.
Yeah, Blackwell Forum, Invest in Bay, Games community, stocks market moves. Make sure sure you're showing love. Black Stock Street, Diversity, M-Stock, Hustlenomics 101.
Yeah, we've been depriving them, bro. So I'm not saying M-Stock, TBL, Hustlenomics. We ain't opening.
Oh, word. Last night's conversation in your room, man, I know you know me for a bit as far as, you know, being on here and talking about these things. You know how passionate I get when it comes down to financial literacy. Man, last night, man, you almost sent me, I had to contain myself. That's why I really ain't trying to, you know what I mean? But it kind of brought back memories from doing the Hustlenomics rooms and all that. You almost sent me on a tangent, bro.
Man, it was dope hearing everybody's story, man. Like, you know, I heard there was some stuff from even Chad and Tony, man. I heard some stuff I had never known, man. So sometimes it's really good to dig a little deeper, man.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that, man. That's big facts.
All right, y'all. There you go. Have a good night. See y'all tomorrow in the morning. Whatever time we start, 8:05, 8. Whatever.
Yeah.
We'll start it up. So, just make sure you guys obviously are showing love to the cuz, moderated, and so if anyone's trading crypto right now, best luck to you. All right.
I want to say definitely show love to Jay Wise and Marley because they're gonna be there with y'all in the morning. I'm probably not.
So you're not coming, Q?
I can't even give a probability right now.
Q,
I'm gonna ping you anyway.
Q, you're gonna have to, cause you know I'm gonna be gone. You're gonna have to help Marley out.
You when you on vacation?
It starts tomorrow, buddy. No, I'm still gonna have to watch this up and everything. But yeah, after.
Vacation starts tomorrow.
Yeah, it starts tomorrow.
I need to go to bed from now, y'all.
Wow.
It came so quick. It came so quick.
I'm gonna tell y'all everybody right quick. I'm gonna be there if I'm there tomorrow. Don't talk to me for the first 15, 20 minutes.
Everybody paying Q in the morning.
That's why the room started at 8:15. Q, you should be good. Nah, but I'll be there in the AM. I'll be there in the AM.
I'll be there tomorrow. I got you. I'm about to go tell my human alarm clock right now.
We'll hold it down, my brother. Enjoy, I'm mad about you, bro. Enjoy, my brother.
I'm be on tomorrow though.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just let me know.
I have to watch
you need
this.
something. You need another ticket for me? I have my laptop right now.
I thought you said, yeah, whatever you seeing, just send my way.
Oh yeah, everybody keep talking. Listen, I don't know if anyone saw my Instagram. It's called The Real, right?
Yeah, The Real.
The Real, right? Yeah, I'm not. But that was for real though. Somebody I know, right? Again, I think what it is people start to know that building and and seeing how things are supposed to go for you. Somebody I know randomly hit me up, and the first question they asked me, "So what tickers you looking at?" And I really wasn't paying them no attention at this time. They asked me that. I was actually loud. So I tried to change the subject. I didn't want to talk about those tickets with this person because I know this person don't do no research. And they was like really on me, like, "Yo, come on, give me a ticket symbol, yo." And that guy was, "Yo, come on, man. Yo, stalling out on me." And I was like, "All right, cool, I got you, man. You got a pen and paper?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, ready?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, write your ticket symbol down. DUMB." He was like, "Ooh, dumb. Where that shit going?" I was like, "Nowhere, you dummy, man. Freaking moron." He's so stupid,
Yo, that was hilarious, yo. That was hilarious.
That was a real. Listen, this is my homeboy, man, and I don't know what he was thinking. He just thought he could call me and I was like, I wasn't even paying him no attention. I said, "Man, what you call me for, bro?" Like, you ever talk about regular stuff? When we talk about sports and stuff, talk about some tickets, some when I noticed, yes, been in investing, quit that, invest today, quit tomorrow, invest for a week, quit for a year. So I know he's always never been consistent with it. That's why it kind of bothers me. Stop asking me that. It ain't gonna help you.
Tickets mean nothing if you don't know what you're doing with them, yo.
It's a big fact, man. This was a big fact. It's really important just to get knowledge, people. And again, just knowledge, man. It goes a long way. If you guys heard what Glenn and Chad said, and I didn't even realize it. I never looked at it like that. But when you are investing, you don't have to be a person who quits your job, right? I'm not telling you to quit your job. But if you are into investing, you are adapting a lifestyle. Like, that's a fact. You are adapting a lifestyle. Like I said, right now, I'm probably going to look for something for Jay. But it's not necessarily I'm looking for something for him. I'm looking for something for myself, and I just let Jay know about it. Like, yo, this is something that I feel good about. And if y'all are in the watch list, Jay's put so many things in, like, those plays are panning out. And that's not, I don't have to sit here and sugarcoat it. It's a fact. And if y'all see, I just hope everyone, I know it's a lot, you get to pick and choose, but they are panning out. You have to be very precise about it. But again, man, but it is a lifestyle. Jay gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's what time he gets up.
Big
Looking
facts.
at the markets.
Big
4 o'clock in the
facts.
morning.
I'll be getting ready to go to sleep at like 6, and Jay over here messaging us and whatnot, talking about, yo, look at this information. I'll be like, bro, I'm getting to 6 in the morning. I'm getting ready to go to sleep. Why are you up DMing us?
Yeah.
But he be up
It's a lifestyle. Yeah, it's a lifestyle. So he does that 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, I wake up and I do the show, but while we're doing the show, I'm on a computer. I'm on my laptop. So as much as we're talking and stuff like that, I'm still looking for my plays. And so it is a lifestyle. And again, whatever time you can go ahead and dedicate is always time that's appreciated. I'll use Doc Richardson for an example. Doc Richardson, in the mix of doing her career field, finds time, all of that, to still look at the markets. And there's other people I know as well. You know what I'm saying? Nia, for example, Lakeisha, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're in the medical field. You
got Ty, who just be...
Ty, another one.
Glenn.
You know what I'm saying? Glenn, Lamar, Dr. Quenisha, Karen. You know what I'm saying? Still make time, and it is a lifestyle. I never looked at it like that until we had this conversation. Yeah, I am in a lifestyle. We all are in as far as a lifestyle, and we have to continue the habits to go ahead and elevate and elevate and elevate. You know what I'm saying? So hats off to everybody, man, who is adapting time into an investment. Again, you could be doing so many other things, at the end of the day. And I'm glad I really do have this. I'm really glad that we have this community. And also, too, matter of fact, I would just say this. I like people who motivate me, too, right? Like, I like people who I see, like, if I'm having a good day on the market, and I see one of my friends having a good day on the market, that shit motivates me. I'm like, oh, shit, we all making money. All making money today. But, like, that shit motivates me. If you think, you have to understand that. If I see somebody have a certain percentage for the day, I'm like, ooh, watch what I get in tomorrow. You know what I mean? And together, collectively, motivate, one another. You know what I'm saying? It's all about that, the extra push, even small conversations. I was messaging a Jay, a tall Jay. I'm going to just call him Tall Jay. Every time I say Jay, a tall Jay.
Nah, bro, don't do it that way, because then people going to think I'm short.
Nah,
You talking about tall J or short J? Nah, bro. Nah, bro.
We gonna call one Dread J and J.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Clean cut J.
Yeah, clean cut. All right, clean cut J. Clean cut J. You know, we'll have a conversation, and it was all conversation was like, yo, I see you, appreciate it. I see you. I mean, it's just like, yo, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying, like, Jay was clean cut Jay was looking at, like, I want to say, how many stocks you looking at on your screen? Was that 20?
Oh, that was 8.
It was 8? Dang, it looked more like I thought it was 20. I was like, damn. I thought it was 20. If I'm bored. Okay, bro, I'm telling you, it looked like 20. Maybe I didn't have my glasses on either. Like 20. That's why I was like, oh, this dude right here he's trying to get rich right now. I could have sworn that's why I asked him, like, yo, what platform you use? I could have sworn I saw, but maybe it was the angle of your monitor.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Oh,
if I was the angle of your monitor. Yeah.
I had the RSI and the Mack did everything pulled up on each one of them, so it looked like more segment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But again, people, just about a community, and I think collectively all level up and motivate and push one another, man, and keep it going, man. That's just my last word. Before I take my medication and I'll wake up tomorrow with y'all, man. So peace out, y'all.
Peace.
All right. God bless everybody. Have a great evening.
Always.
Have a good one.
Peace. Closing the room now.
I got it.
All right, cool. And then, y'all want to meet up on the back end so we can know about. I didn't know you was leaving tomorrow, bro. So we can know everything.
Yeah, we're right now.
Yeah, we got you.
Cool.
You gonna IG or we gonna create one?
IG, bro.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I hear you. Killer bees on the swarm.